Alright guys, I'm pretty excited about my newest RC in the collection, the Losi LST 3XLE, or Losi Super Truck. So I've been eyeing this truck for quite a while when it first came out, mostly because I think it looks amazing. The pictures that I've seen online and videos I've seen online don't do this truck justice. It looks amazing in person. I really love the body, I really love the wheels, this tread pattern, and I really wanted a big 1/8 scale monster truck. I had a Nero, I had a Red Cat MT8E, I sold both of those, and I should have kept one of them because once in a while I just want to take a big giant truck out that has tons of ground clearance and just tear through the grass, go over jumps. So now I've got this guy, and it's on sale right now for $550. So I'll put a link in the video description. I got it from Horizon Hobby, and yeah, so talk about it a little bit. There's been a few unboxings, so I won't go into too much detail, but just my first few impressions. So this flip-up lid is actually not bad. I don't mind it, and there's 3 body pins, and then you just take it right out, so that's pretty cool. The suspension on this thing is really great. These shocks are nice and plush. The drawback to the suspension is this truck does not bottom out, so hopefully that won't be an issue. That's probably why these shocks are so massive, is because it doesn't actually hit the ground. It's bottoming out in the shocks, so the shocks are going to take the brunt of all the jumps. I've seen people beat on this thing pretty hard, so I think it'll be alright. Electronics are all Hobby Wing. That's basically Quick Run 150. It's got Spectrum radio and receiver, and it's got this interesting motor that's it looks like it's a 4274. I know it says it's a 2200. It's probably a Hobby Wing, but it's actually integrated. The heat sink's integrated, and oops, and you've got the preset gear mesh. So but they do make a motor mount that you can buy for it, and you can put whatever you want in there. Now it looks like the longest you can fit maybe is a 80 millimeter, so I don't know. We'll see how that all goes. I really like how it's all covered. The spur gear and reduction gear and the pinion, they're all covered, which is fantastic. And to get it apart, it's these 4 screws right here, and then the center comes out. You have to kind of wiggle it around. There's a hole to get it around the motor, the pinion, and then this whole assembly comes out, which is super easy. To get the diffs out, you take off the bumper. There's 4 screws, and then 2 on the bottom for the bumper, and then the diff comes out as one assembly. So that is pretty cool. Now I did join the Losi 3XLE Owners Club on Facebook group, and they had a lot of good info, which is why this truck hasn't actually been run yet, because I took all the diffs out and filled all the diffs with oil. They come with grease. I also shimmed the front and rear diffs because they don't come with satellite shims, and also putting a shim underneath the sun gear top and bottom helps it out a lot, because there was a lot of play in the outdrive cups, and once you shim it, that all goes away. So that was the biggest thing that I did. It comes in with built-in XT or EC5 connectors. I wanted to run XT90 just to keep kind of this built-in look. I was able to use the bottom portion of it and slip them inside, and then these screws kind of help secure it. So it's fairly decently held down, but really you could just pull this right out. So I don't know how that's going to hold up. It might not. If it doesn't, then I'll probably just go to XT150s and then just run it straight to them. So the one thing that I don't really like is this hole. Luckily T-Bone has a bottom skid that'll cover this up, so I got that coming. And they've got all waterproof electronics, but yet there's a giant hole in the bottom of this thing. So that's going to let water in there. I know that the Spectrum receivers are water resistant, because I would like to run this in winter, which brings me to these screws. For some reason, Losi decided to mix metric screws for all the diffs, and then all of these are English screws. Like, these are all 1/16 drive screws. So make sure you've got some high quality tools. I'm actually got some high quality tools on the way, since I only have this I keep with me. It's like it's Duratrax. It's got all the different size hex drivers on it. It's really only be used like when you're in the field, because they're not great. And just my little use in the past few days of taking the diffs out, I've already worn those pretty good. So I got some high quality tools coming, so that's something to keep in mind. It came with this wheelie bar, and in the package with the truck was the actual rear bumper. So that's cool. I'm glad that came with it. So I'm going to try to run it with the wheelie bar once, just to see, you know, how it goes for me, since I do a lot of grass and street driving. But when I get the ramps out, I'll put the rear bumper on. Let's see what else. Oh, another weird thing. These dog bones don't go that far into the, not sure if you can see it, into the drive cup, which I don't know how I feel about that. I would like it to go maybe another 1 to 2 more millimeters into that drive cup. Now they are CVD, so they're captured, so they're not flopping around, but I thought that was a little strange. And then another thing that I found out right away is I went to set the dual rates, and this thing the servo can basically outwork the turning radius. So in other words, you're putting all kinds of stress on your bell crank, you're overstretching it. And I could not figure out how to set the dual rates. The Spectrum radio has AVC with this thing, and the AVC knob is where your steering dual rate knob would be. So you either have to turn AVC off, or, which I finally found out after playing around and asking a few guys in the 3XLE group, you have to put the bind plug in the receiver and rebind the radio, because during the rebinding process you can actually set your steering, you set your throttle, brake, and your steering endpoints. So that's ultimately what I did to set my dual rates. So that's a little clunky. It's a ready to run radio, so I guess that's kind of what you get. I haven't had any Spectrum products before, so I really want to try AVC. If I end up liking it, Spectrum just came out with their entry level, I think it's the DX5C radio. I might pick that up depending on how much I like AVC. Otherwise, I'll just either change it. I might just either run the stock radio, or I'll change it out to probably Futaba, because I've been running a lot of Futaba with the 3PV lately in my other trucks. So yeah, I'm excited to run this thing. It's a really good size 1/8 truck. So what I want to do is I want to get my Creighton out, since that was the biggest 1/8 scale that I have, and then we'll put the two next to each other so you can get a size comparison. So here's the 3XLE next to my V1 Talion that's been converted to a Creighton. And you can see the Losi is slightly longer. Could just be because the tires are bigger. And it's got quite a bit more ground clearance. I measured it. It was like 9 inches or so ground clearance. See if we can get a halfway decent shot of it. Of course, now that I'm looking at it here, the Creighton's actually pretty close. So yeah, not too bad actually. But that's the biggest RC I had before this one. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to get this thing running, and I'll leave a link also to the 3XLE Facebook group. Good bunch of guys in there, very helpful. I wouldn't have known about shimming the diffs if it wasn't for that group. So that's where I'm going to leave it, guys. Next time you see the 3XLE, I'll be running it.